A DeKalb County condo owner has nearly a $3,000 water bill, but their HOA won't let the plumber fix the problem. So I thought it was interesting that this more than $2,000 water bill, I mean, the title says nearly $3,000, but I don't know exactly how much the water bill is. I know it's somewhere upwards of $2,000, which is still really high because water is just not that expensive compared to electricity and everything. But basically, it was a condo owner, which, by the way, if you live in a condo, every single condo has an HOA. So, I mean, it's just, that's how they're built. But this particular owner lived in this condo. She did not receive a water bill for 5 months. And then when she finally did receive a water bill, it was for more than $2,000. And she hired a plumber to see, okay, what's going on. The plumber did his investigation and felt that it might be he wanted to inspect the full water line to identify the source of the problem. But inspecting the full water line would require access to the condo's water closet. And she says the HOA has repeatedly denied them access. So the plumber actually spoke with the homeowner association's president. And he was like, I can't give you access without a HOA representative present. And Brentley said that the HOA told her she needed permission from the independent utility company. So the plumber's hearing that there has to be another HOA representative present, but she's hearing, oh, you need the utility company because, and I skipped that part. The condo association hired a private utility company, and that's why the plumber wanted to inspect the full water line, because they felt like the private utility company may have done something which is causing this increase in her water bill. And the private utility company was contacted, and they were like, the HOA can give you access to their own water closet. I mean, it's owned by the HOA. It just seems like the HOA, I think personally they're trying to hide something, because it's like, this is your water closet, but you're saying, oh no, we need this private company to give you access. And it's like the plumber that was hired can't check the meters or anything like that because he can't get access to the areas where he needs to get access to make sure that everything is looking good. And she being the condo owner does not have the money to pay for all of this water that apparently they say she used, which was over 100,000 gallons worth of water.
100,000
gallons of water. Yeah, that's I mean, I know I get thirsty sometimes, but that's quite a bit of water to be going through in a month or 5 months even, because this is, even if this was a bill to cover the last 5 months, in an entire year, in a couple years, I don't spend over $2,000 on water, because water is just not that expensive. Even if your water bill was like $100 a month, that's $1,200 a year. You're still not coming close to what she's been charged for water for just the last 5 months. And so for an HOA that does not have any answers to give her and won't let her access where she needs to access to solve the problem, I would be filing a lawsuit personally.
Which is going to cost even more money. She already don't have the money. What she say? She didn't have the money to, she can't afford the charge. Mm-hmm. She was on a fixed income. And bringing lawsuits costs money.
It does.
Well,
you can go without representation, and it'll be a small claims court lawsuit because it's under 5,000 or 10,000, whatever the small claims amount is. It's under that amount. So if you go to small claims court, you pay for the filing, and then you show up to court. That's what I would do. I'd be like, look, the judge is going to order y'all to do whatever, rectify this situation, and hey, once they get served with the papers, they might just get their act together before they show up on Judge Judy or somewhere
Well, I mean, it just seems like they're setting her up for failure because it's like they want her to lose her house or want her to not have water and want her to, like, I don't know, not be there. Because if she's telling you that, if y'all are telling her that your guys' plumber, y'all want y'all's company to do it, to do the repair, and then they're not accepting any responsibility, or they can't come. Like, what is if they won't let her bring her own private plumber out,
and they're not fixing the problem?
So
it's like you.
And then Miss Caroline Simmons, another condo owner in the same complex, is saying, well, I've been here 21 years and no one has ever said that we can't access the water closet. So it just seems to me that there's someone that's kind of jacking with Miss Cynthia Brentley, and don't want her, to be, they just don't want her to make it. They don't, I don't like how this sounds. Like, it's very sabotage-ish. It sounds very sabotagey to me.
It is, because I mean, I say there's something wrong with the meter, which, it's like you got to get that fixed, because there's no way that someone's just running the water and using 100,000 gallons of water. Like, just the amount of water that is in a month, like, or 5 months even. Like,
she has basically paid for the entire condo community's water usage.
That's what I thought initially. I figured they sent a letter out to, like, all the other condo owners and were like, hey, y'all, free water for the next 5 months.
Merry Christmas.
Y'all 5 months of free water courtesy of 13C. We gonna charge the bill to her. She's new. She ain't been here but 5 months. She gonna get hit with this bill.
But I think what's even most shady is that the HOA president, like, no HOA representative would actually speak on record about, like, they were like, oh, we're only agree to speak off record. We don't have any official comment. We're
like, that just seems shady as it is. Like, oh, you can't go on record about nothing? Like,
and that's why she brought it to the what was this, Channel 2 Action News.
Yeah. It's like, you can't go on record about nothing? Like,
how they wrong? It's something other than, oh, the water closet needs to be accessed, but you can't access it. Here's a $2,000 bill. You need to pay it. I feel like there's somebody don't like Miss Cynthia.
They should have put the name of the condo association up in here. Really put them on blast.
Sure should have.
Really put them on blast. Start seeing people selling their homes.
I'm about to say, call me, Miss Cynthia. I'd love to list your house. Huh? But the thing is, when you sell a house, especially with HOA, anything that's attached to a HOA, any kind of fee that's attached to a HOA, it has to be paid at closing. The owner has to pay that before it can that ownership in the HOA can transfer to the new owner. So
I've got a loan under contract right now. It's in a HOA, and goodness, it's like, well, you already know I cannot stand HOAs, but this thing really just, they are charging a $1,900 initiation fee for her to move into the HOA. $1,900 initiation to move into the HOA. And they actually have this on paperwork too. I was like, this is crazy. She's got to pay $1,900 to move into this house that's in a HOA, and then she's going to be paying you all every single month to be part of this HOA community, whether she likes it or not.
Well, she living next to what's it, Shaquille O'Neal? He live in McDonough. Where is this
he's
house?
In McDonough. Yeah, he's in McDonough somewhere. I don't know if he had a HOA though.
He probably is the HOA. They done made him honorary sheriff. He's over Papa John's Pizza now. Somebody pizza. I don't know. He just doing all kind of stuff. Everything but playing basketball. That's good for him. Yeah. But no, where is this $1,900 initiation fee HOA so I can make sure I steer clear of it?
Oh goodness, it's where is this house?
Give me the city, the county.
where is this house at? Goodness, I have to look it up now.
Tripping.
Yeah, it's in
Is it north or
Atlanta.
south?
I want to say it's on the north side of Atlanta. Yeah, I want to say it's on the north side of Atlanta, but yeah, she's getting charged $1,900 for the. They call it an initiation fee. So like, hey, you're coming into the HOA, it's gonna cost you, and then you got to pay us like $400 something a year to be part of this HOA, and I'm like, but $1,900 to.
Now that annual cost isn't too bad. Well, I mean, like I've seen HOAs that literally do nothing except tell you not to put up a fence and make sure that you keep your grass cut, but they don't do anything, and it's like $200, $250.
Mm-hmm.
The HOA that I was a part of, they came out and cut the grass twice a month in the growing months, and I paid $600 a year. So for $400 a year, that's really not that bad. I thought you was going to say like $400 a quarter, or God forbid, $400 a month, especially with a $1,900 initiation fee.
Oh yeah.
But still, like that. I mean, so how does the buyer feel about that? Like, did that discourage them any, or did they just was like took it in stride? Or
the funny thing is, when they found out about it, they were already so far down the process that it's kind of like,
dang,
we're out of due diligence, and
down for that.
it's like you're within your financing contingency, but you're not denied. You're approved. So the financing contingency is only good if you can't get financing, and then you can get your money back. But it's like, but if you can get financing, then the financing contingency period doesn't help you terminate if you wanted to terminate, because
and still get your earnest money.
And still get your earnest money. Yeah, it's like you can terminate. You're gonna lose that money you got on the table.
I mean, but he or she, whatever the buyer's gender is, may not have been expecting to pay an additional $2,000. You know, that could go towards closing, down payment. I mean, that can go a long way towards something that actually matters.
Austell.
Ooh.
It's in Austell, Georgia.
Oh my gosh, Cobb County. Well, you know, that story that I sent you this morning about that guy.
In Cobb County too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think we'll probably be covering that in another episode. Oh yes, but don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, good people, to this channel, Greatest Asset Community.
It costs you absolutely nothing.
And you can make all the comments that you want about all the HOAs, all the negative comments that you want. Feel free to put them on our videos. We love it. That's why we keep doing stories about HOAs. We love inflammatory content.
If you want some drama, tune in to the Greatest Asset.
Yes.
But no, you can mention the Cobb story. I mean, I thought it was interesting when I watched I watched the whole video on it, and yeah, I was a little upset because did he inherit the property or did he purchase it?
He purchased it, and he purchased it as an investment. He was going to hold it as an investment. So short-term rentals, basically.
Yeah.
You know, he's just a brother trying to make it. You know, brother got a little money he wanted to invest in instead of going and spending it on J's and women.
See,
you know,
yeah, doing something with his life, buying some real estate.
They gave him a noise complaint because he had a event at the house on the 4th of July.
Yeah, they said he had a disorderly, and then they arrested him. He's had 66 citations. Mm-hmm. And they were like, normally these citations are just something that adds up. And when you get ready to sell the home, it's like, you know, you got to make sure they're paid or cleared, or they won't allow you to sell it, you know, free and clear and everything, because those things attach to the home. But in his instance, it seems like they were targeting him because they actually turned it into a criminal thing, and they arrested him for citations, and they cited him 66 times, which seems overly excessive. You know, for whatever, you know, different things that they were trying to cite him for, and for it to just move from like being this, you know, thing that attaches to the home to now it's like this civil or this criminal thing where it's like, oh, we're going to arrest you now and take you to jail. So he's got a lawyer and he says he's going to fight this thing, which I think he should, honestly.
Yeah.
And the house is beautiful, by the way. And when I saw that house, I was like, oh, this is a really nice house.
Yeah, when I saw that house, I said, "Oh, somebody don't want him in the neighborhood."
That
Somebody
part.
looked at him and said, "Oh, you're the owner of this house, boy." I said, "Oh, they don't they determined in their mind they didn't want him there. That's it." And I said, I wonder if somebody in the neighborhood is either friends with or on the board of whatever commissioners or whoever's like sending him and doing all these citations. Like it has to be somebody that doesn't want him there, and they know somebody, because like nowhere in the history of anywhere have you ever seen that many citations on a single property.
Mm-mm.
And the man isn't. I mean, I think there was one part of the video where it said that a good majority of the first time he went to court, almost all, or at least all of them, were thrown out.
All of them, yeah, were thrown out because it's like, okay, so the judge was even like, this is ridiculous, for you all to just be citing this man over and over and over. Like, this is harassment at this point. Like, y'all are harassing him on his own property. Like, this is, this is 2026, and people are still dealing with this.
But it's still Georgia. Let's not forget
It is
our very colorful past here.
Yeah.
In the antebellum South or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I don't even think I'm using that word right.
But I would like to think that but it's Atlanta. Like, we tend to do really well here in Atlanta. I mean, clearly there are some parts where, better than others, but yeah, it's like, 2026 and you still have stuff like this going on. And they did mention also in the news segment that, black people do get cited at a far higher rate than, their white counterparts get cited for, in the same area. You pick the measuring stick. Black people are cited way more frequently than white people are cited for the same stuff.
And it makes you, because one thing that I notice here is that really probably anywhere, but certain neighborhoods, and I think this is in a lot of states, but I've especially noticed it here, especially having lived in multiple states, but you tend to have certain whole racial segments per neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't see a lot of mixing in. You may see one other race, and then there's 15 of the same race in all the other houses, and then one house may have a different, but then that person is probably renting. They probably didn't purchase, they're just renting and moved down here sight unseen or something. Then they're out after a year, I think that the neighborhoods they're very telling of what they want, who they want. And honestly, so are not only the rent prices and the home prices, the property tax prices. Like, it tells you who we want here, what kind of money that we want them to be making. And then if by chance there's an outlier, and that outlier happens to be black, and they're making the money and they can live in this neighborhood, and they, even though y'all typically have basically tried to exclude everybody else, they give that person hell. And it's just so sad. It's so sad to see, because as a real estate agent, I cannot, it's called redlining and blockbusting and steering. When we tell someone, or if they tell us, hey, I don't want to live around certain groups of people, I can't show them houses on the black or the white side of town. I can't do that. I can only encourage them to do their own research, and that's as far as I can go. And then I'll show them, homes wherever. But it's still so much hatred, and it's still so prevalent, and it's very sad. It's still so much racism, and it's very, very sad. But I think it's a little better now, because we're not in the burning crosses in the yard days. Not too much. At least we don't hear about it.
Yeah.
But last year we heard about a couple of lynchings in Mississippi on some of the college campuses.
Oh yeah.
So you remember that? So
Yeah. Yeah. It's still, aspects of it there. Largely, it's moved from the overt displays and demonstrations that you
right,
see out in the public to more of a legal, moving of,
right.
laws and how the money moves. I mean, you just look at how schools are funded on the South Side, or
Yep.
the side, wherever the side is that most of the African Americans are in whatever city you live in. Look at how much of the government funding goes to those schools versus how much of it goes toward white schools. And it has nothing to do with population, because you have some equally, if not more so, populated black schools that are underfunded compared to less populated white schools. I mean, so it's like I said, you don't see as much of the overt, demonstrations and stuff as you used to, but it's still unfortunate that it still does take place. I
The
hate to
cards are
say it. I
stacked
feel like
against
it's.
us.
You said what?
I said the cards are stacked against us.
Yeah, and I mean, I hate to say it. I feel like it's one of those things where it kind of. I don't see that being something that ever gets completely wiped out. I don't.
Oh,
We,
not this side, Glory.
yeah, I don't see. I see it always being something that, racism is always something that this people in this country are going to struggle with. It might not be to the numbers of what people in the 60s, marching with King struggled with.
Right.
But people are going to struggle with it, or, in the 50s or whatever. It might not be to that extent. It's less now than what was then. But you're going to have people that struggle with it. I mean, and this is not the only country where people struggle with racism. There's racism in many other countries.
Italy. I heard
Yep.
it's very racist there.
Yep. It's racism just about every other country you can think of. You go to Africa, there's racism there too. You have some places in Africa where you've got some countries in Africa racist against other countries in Africa. Here we might be like, but you're all black. But there it's like, no, Kenyans are not the same as Nigerians. Nigerians are not the same as, they're different. And so you have, and I'm not saying they're all racist against each other, but I'm just saying, there's racism that exists everywhere. And I just don't think it's going to be completely wiped out. As long as we have sin in the world, as long as, there is a measuring stick by which you can try to differentiate yourself and put yourself as being better than someone, or put someone else beneath you, or whatever you feel like you have to do to make yourself better than someone else. I just feel like race is just an easy target, because if we were all the same color, they'd use something else, size, they use height, they use something else, money, status, and all of those things are still used. But race is just an easy target to try to say,
Because it's the most apparent thing about anybody.
It's the first thing you see. It's the first thing you notice, and it's the first thing you start to judge people on. You see someone walking down the street, and they've actually done studies on that, where it's like, oh, you see a black guy walking down the street and you see a white person coming up the other way, who's more likely to cross over to the other side, or who's more likely to look away and make sure you don't make eye contact, or, all of these things. It's like they've done studies on all of that stuff. It's just a negative sentiment out there, regardless of how untrue it is. And it is so unwarranted, and untrue, because for all of the flack I'll say that black people get for being, violent and whatever else, it's like, I say black people are pretty non-violent, especially if you consider everything that has been done to black people. And by and large, black people have not retaliated. You think of the hundreds of years of everything that's gone on in this country, and then you would think, oh, black people get their freedom, and y'all, it wasn't like, okay, now let's mass up and let's retaliate. It's like, no, we want equality. We want equal rights.
Oh, we want it.
Peaceful protests, marching in the streets. We weren't going up burning down people's houses, burning down, whatever else. It's like, no, there are peaceful marches in the streets. And then that was met with violence. That was met with fire hoses. That was met with crosses burning in the front yard. That was met with bricks through the window, bombings of houses and cars and stuff. That was met with violence. Peaceful protest on the black side was met with violence. But by and large, black people have been very, very peaceful, especially considering the history of everything that's been done to them. And
no one race of people is just going to sit up and continue to let you be violent, because at the end of the day, everybody has this innate sense of well, I'm not going to say everybody. Most people have an innate sense of self-preservation where, okay, well, if it's now between you or me, it's definitely not going to be me. So I got to fight back.
Oh, absolutely.
At this point. But I think that just realizing that, there's it's the silliest thing, the color of your skin, something that nobody asked for and no one can change. You want to set yourself above or set another race below you simply because of the color of their skin. But then not wanting to invest, like you said earlier, in those communities that have the minority population. And then you say, oh, look at the test scores. It just proves that these people aren't as smart or that they're slower or whatever. But if you are not putting the same amount of funding into them as you are where there are other races, then make that make sense. There's never any real rhyme or reason. You can't say that black people are slow or not as smart if you're not putting the same amount of funding. Like it's not a level playing field, and it never really has been.
No,
I remember back in the days, I've been told by several people that at the credit bureau, they used to have a certain number on your social security number that would tell creditors your race. There was like a certain thing that had to do with black people's credit social security numbers, and they were denied credit even from those early days. And so now, even now you have a whole race of people who a lot of our credit scores just aren't where they should be. We don't know a lot about credit, and it's because those same opportunities just weren't given to us. Make it a level playing field, give the same opportunities, and then you can put one against the other. Otherwise, it really is comparing apples to oranges. You're not comparing apples to apples. So, but
Yeah, no, I would say when you look at the black people who have excelled to be, an elite in their fields, in mathematics or in science, inventors who were black that, invented things that we still use today, in a high, quantity and numbers or whatever. But, it's like you have entrepreneurs that have gone out and, started successful businesses. So when you have people like that, black people that have done so much successful stuff and they've managed to overcome the odds and make it to the top of their industry, despite all the people that were trying to keep them down, trying to push them down. But to me, it's like, now imagine how many more it would be if they had a level playing field, because the people that did manage to make it, they made it with an uneven playing field and still managed to be successful in entrepreneurship, still managed to be successful as an inventor, still managed to get to the top in academics, in, whether it's math, science, language arts, studying, whatever. They still managed to succeed despite all the opposition against them. Imagine if they had a level playing field. And one comment that I heard from, I won't even say a name, but I'll say he recently was, assassinated while he was doing a talk on a college campus and everything. Very controversial, individual. One of the things he said was that, when I take a flight somewhere, if I see a black pilot, I'm thinking in my mind, oh, I hope that person's qualified, because of DEI. He was a very anti-DEI person. He was like, DEI is giving opportunities to people who haven't proved that they've earned them or deserve them, whatever, just because of the color of their skin. And I was like, that's not what DEI is. DEI is placing a focus on, hey, we've got qualified individuals over here that we're overlooking because of the color of their skin. Let's look over in this direction, and then we'll find that we actually have qualified people that don't look like us, but they can actually do the same things just as good, if not better. And what you found more often than not in many arenas is that the Black people or people of color that do get an opportunity, it has nothing to do with them getting a handout. In many instances, they had to be overqualified just to get the opportunity. They had to be better than everybody else just to get the opportunity, because if they were just like everyone else or slightly below everyone else, they would seem
straight over them.
It was like you would look over them time after time again. They had to be so much better than everybody else just to get the looks, just to get the opportunity, just to get the foot in the door. So it's like, it's actually the exact opposite. It's like if you saw a Black pilot, it's like, man, that guy, what he had to go through to get those wings on his chest, you have no idea the battles he had to fight, the hours he had to spend late studying, just to be better than the next person, because he had to be at the top in order to get a look to possibly get in the door. So it's like, you have no idea what people have gone through in battles. So I don't know. When I heard that comment, I was like, that just sounds like straight ignorance to me, because you have no idea the battles that people have fought to get to where they are, just to have someone who's in a position of privilege say, oh, I hope you're qualified because you're of the color of your skin. You probably had it handed to you. It's like, you have no idea what people have had to fight for to get to where they are, and how much better they might be than everyone else that you might have come across.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing that people fail to realize about DEI, and it wasn't until President Trump ended all of these DEI programs, the one thing that they really failed to realize is that white women were some of the major, largest recipients.
Oh, absolutely.
And beneficiaries of DEI policies and programs. And so when all of them started losing their positions and jobs, then they wanted to holler and cry and scream. So it wasn't just Black women or Black men or other races that was mostly the beneficiaries of this diversity, equity, and inclusion. It was women, period, no matter what race. And so all of that I thought was very funny, because obviously the person that you're just talking about was a white man. And so, for you to be so against that and against interracial intermingling and all of this, the white women play a huge part in that, and I don't think that I still think that he would have placed white women just under white men. And, let's not forget that they're also DEI beneficiaries.
Yeah, so. You're absolutely right. And more so than I heard John Hope Bryant say that on the list of DEI, we're like fifth, in terms of who benefits the most from DEI. It's not Black women. It's not Black men that, benefit the most from DEI. We're like fourth or fifth on that list. So, but yeah, he's like, yeah, white women benefit way more than,
Oh, the irony.
Yeah. It's like, let's cancel. It's like we got labeled as the poster child of, DEI. It's like, oh, Black people, DEI, this is who they're helping. It's like, no, actually stick Susie up there, because that's actually who's mostly benefiting from it. Or, whoever, is a white female, it's like, that's who's benefiting more so than, African Americans. But somehow we got, held as the poster child for, DEI and why it needs to go away. So
it's the same thing they did with how they were talking about with food stamps as well.
Poor white people that live in rural areas,
the biggest recipients
of food stamps. Yeah, absolutely. It's poor whites. It's not, Blacks, but it's like somehow Black people are taking all the resources, and they're owning the narrative,
All you have to do is research, people, instead of listening to your hateful friends and neighbors and pastor and your grandparents.
Have you ever heard the
just do your own
saying?
research.
You ever heard that saying? A lie will go around the whole world once, while the truth is still lacing up its shoes. It's like
that is so true. So true.
Lies just get circulated so much quicker before people actually take the time to research facts and truth. And by that time, it's like a lot of people are so bought into the lie, they don't want to know the truth. It's like, no, I'm invested in this lie now. I don't really care what the numbers say. You can make the numbers say anything. And then you get back into this, whole argument or whatever.
Rabbit hole.
Yeah. Well, somehow we started off on HOAs and then we ended up somewhere else. But
you can actually split this up and just do one on one day and one on the other. We're going to have on the same clothes.
It was good. I'm pretty sure that, there's a ton of HOA topics. We got more to come. We got more to come with HOAs. So, yeah, it'll be good. But tune in Fridays, dropping another episode, and on Tuesday, Home Finance Hacks. Till next time, take care, be blessed, see you next week.